Yes. Good. Yep. So good. So good morning, everyone. A very short agenda today. I'll start off with, do we have any declarations of interests or transparency statements? Ian.
Thanks, Chair. I've managed to come up with two transparency statements for just a single item agenda. In relation to item 2, Chair, one of the delivery partners listed is Cycling UK. I am a member of Cycling UK. In relation to the same item, and another delivery partner listed is NHS Grampian. I am a member of the board of NHS Grampian. In each case, I have considered the objective test and do not believe there is a declarable interest. This is therefore, I suppose, two transparency statements. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other hands. I'll take that. If anyone does have any later interests or transparency statements to declare, just put your hand up throughout the meeting. Move on to item 2, People in Place 2026-27 programme proposals, and I'll pass on to Paul to give a quick introduction to this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. And just say thank you very much to members for facilitating this short meeting. As we explained at the last board meeting, we were subject to some last-minute changes of funding arrangements, which meant we had to do a redesign of the programme, and that knocked us out of our sequencing for the approvals that we had hoped to get. And just to say that we thought that waiting until June would be too long for some of our delivery partners and for the programme as a whole. So I'm very grateful for you making time in your diaries at this time in the morning to have this one item agenda. What I'm going to do is, so again, just thank you for that. I'm going to pass over to Caroline, who's going to talk through the paper and some of the detail on it. Thank you very much, Chair. And Caroline.
Thank you, Chair Paul. Good morning, Board. The paper that was circulated to you all sets out the proposed People in Place 26-27 programme alongside some associated budget recommendations. In responding to the previously reported 60% reduction in revenue funding, officers at Nestrans have continued to work collaboratively with delivery partners and also critically our local authority partners to mitigate impacts where possible and to maximise the full available budget. This approach has allowed us to work to safeguard project continuity, which is very important, and ensuring that vital capacity and capability is retained in the region, and this has secured continued delivery and positive impacts for the North East. As noted in the paper, Nestrans officers continue to monitor impacts of the revenue reduction, and we raise awareness of this impact at a national level as appropriate. In light of the revenue pressures, and as noted in the paper, officers propose utilising an element of unallocated reserves resulting from the previously reported underspend, and this is to finance some ancillary and supporting elements of the People in Place programme. Again, this is about ensuring maximum impact of the available funding. Detail was set out in the paper for this meeting in Appendix A on the proposed use of this spend, and also on proposed contributions for two key projects by Cycling UK through our local authority partners. It is recommended that the board note the confirmed People in Place funding award to Nestrans of £1,729,261, comprising £295,650 resource and £1,433,611 of capital from Transport Scotland. 2, to approve the proposed allocation of funding to delivery partners under the Nestrans 26-27 People in Place programme as detailed in Appendix A, noted erroneously in the recommendations as Appendix 1, my apologies, and to endorse the collaborative approach with Aberdeen City and Aberdeenshire councils across a range of funding streams that supports effective and efficient delivery of the Nestrans People in Place programme and wider behaviour change initiatives, and finally to approve the utilisation of general fund reserves to support delivery of the Nestrans People in Place 26-27 programme as set out in this paper and the accompanying appendix. Thank you, Chair. I'm of course very happy to take any questions on the paper.
Isabel,
Yeah, I just had a query about what reserves we've got. I found two figures, so presumably the figure of 670,000 is reserves from last year. Is that right? And we actually have 1.62 million of unallocated reserves. Have I read that correctly?
Thank you, through you, Chair. Councillor Davison, if I might bring in our colleague Tina White here to give an answer to that question on reserves. Tina's best placed to provide an accurate update on that.
Thank you. As at the end of 24-25, yeah, there was 1.6 million of unallocated. I'm still working on the final figures for 25-26, but it's unlikely to change much from there. And with the reserves policy being that we could go down as low as 200,000, we've got more than sufficient reserves to cover it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I just wanted to be clear on that. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan.
Yes, good morning, Chair. A couple of questions, just looking at appendix, well, the sole appendix, I won't say 1 or A, we know what we're talking about. Monitoring and marketing. I mean, I see obviously the figures in there. I wonder if you can tell me, is monitoring just, basically officer cost? And that's basically a portion to this, or what it is. And marketing, what were you identifying as marketing for what is a figure? It's like 9,600 or thereabouts. Is that like advertisings, advertisements in newspapers, etc., or what? And then the final question, just if I may, I see the allocations, and it'll say Aberdeen City, Aberdeenshire, or regional. I wonder if you just comment, for example, is regional as simple as it's both, or what exactly is regional? And I mean, I ask it, if I take the top line in the thing, it says seller's voice, which I know is obviously based within the Shire, yet it's regional. But when I look at it, recycled bikes for all, I can understand it because it could actually apply across the whole region. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner, through you, Chair. Monitoring. Historically, we have used this to support our local authority colleagues with counters, for example, to understand how many people are walking and cycling. So we would envisage having some money set aside to facilitate any requests that come through for monitoring, and we respond to those requests throughout the year. Should this capital not be allocated to monitoring, we would seek to reallocate it as underspend to other projects throughout the course of the financial year. So it's an item that we keep an eye on, but it's useful for us to have to help to support our local authority colleagues to demonstrate those really important impacts back to Transport Scotland of the spend. In terms of marketing, the revenue cost for that helps us to rebadge some of Lucy's time in terms of providing marketing support specifically to the People in Place programme. But historically, we've used the marketing budget line to host things like, you'll recall the event at Huntly, those sort of partner events, and then to have a budget that allows us to pay for catering, to provide printed materials, venue hire, and again, we've tried to keep a modest amount of money in light of wider cost pressures, but we felt that this was quite important, again, about bringing people together and demonstrating impacts. And on your final point, in terms of that Aberdeenshire, Aberdeen City, the regional question, yeah, when something's marked as regional, we envisage that having a reach both in Aberdeen City and Aberdeenshire. And Stella's Voice is a really good example of that. As you noted, they provide recycled bikes, but they work across schools in city and shire. So, for example, I am aware that in Aberdeen City, Mark Morgan made contact with the iBike officer, Fiona McBain, to supply bikes to some children at schools that didn't have bikes. And the same with our colleagues at Tired and Cranky. They have a base in the Bridge of Don now, as well as their base in Aberdeenshire, and that is with a view to providing that regional reach. So when we've marked projects as Aberdeenshire, that is exclusively operating within the Aberdeenshire region. The same for the city, but ones that are noted as regional have that kind of cumulative impact and reach across the northeast.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra.
Thank you very much, Michael. Good morning, everyone. Can I ask on the appendix where in the lines for Cycling UK that have been highlighted is in this report, and the totals add up to what we are getting from the Scottish Government, but there is mention that both Aberdeen City Council and Aberdeenshire Council will be asked to fund those two projects. So are we double dipping there, or I just didn't quite understand if there was more money going into those two projects from the respective councils or not. If someone could answer that, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald, through you, Chair. Excellent spot, Councillor MacDonald, keeping us honest. Absolutely. So I'll take the Aberdeen City Council budget line first of all. So we have allocated £25,000 of revenue to that because we were unable to fulfil the full ask that came to us from Cycling UK. So we have spoken with colleagues in Aberdeen City Council, and I may well bring them in to offer further explanation to request an additional top-up of £20,354 for Connecting Communities Aberdeen. The reason that we did this is we are aware that it is a hugely popular and valuable programme. We've spoken with Cycling UK about capitalising as many of their staff costs as possible, but ultimately there is a revenue requirement. And that was when, in order to try and preserve the project, we reached out to colleagues in Aberdeen City Council to speak with them to find out if there was an opportunity to seek additional contribution from them on this. We have taken a similar approach for the Aberdeenshire Bothy Connecting Communities, where we have not contributed any revenue to this. We are meeting the full capital cost of £142,439. However, Cycling UK came to us with a request for a revenue contribution of £86,506. And I appreciate that sounds like a significant sum of money. In addition to supporting the existing Aberdeenshire Bothy, which we know has had significant impacts, Aberdeenshire Council also put in a request through Cycling UK for additional schools-based support for this financial year. And that was following discussion with officers who have identified a specific gap and a need in provision at the schools level to cover some of the loss of provision after iBike was removed from Aberdeenshire, and officers in Aberdeenshire Council felt that school age cycling support is so vital for converting young people into lifetime cyclists, and that we actually agreed to support expanded provision. And when we realised the extent of the revenue reduction, we spoke with officers in Aberdeenshire Council about how best to support this ask. And it was agreed that we would look to work collaboratively on this project. However, Chair, if acceptable, I would like to bring in colleagues from Aberdeen City and Aberdeenshire to kind of expand on the specifics of Councillor MacDonald's questions, if that's okay.
Yep. Oh, Martin.
Sorry, having some technical issues pushing buttons. Yeah, just to give a little bit of clarity and but add some detail to what Karen has said. It's one project on our line, but in historically it's been two separate projects. It's been something that's been done by Aberdeenshire Bothy, which done the community-based cycling, and previously we used iBike to do some school-based initiatives. We don't do the iBike with Sustrans anymore, Walk, Wheel and Cycle Trust anymore. We felt we get better value through doing something differently, so we've combined it in with Cycling UK. So that probably just gives some context to the difference in figures between what looks like two similar programmes on the line. But I think beyond that, I don't have anything to add to what Caroline has provided.
Yep, thank you. David, do you want to add anything?
I'm going to say very much to echo Martin. Caroline's done as usual, a fantastic job of explaining it. So in our case, Councillor MacDonald, that will be part of the recommendations in the BLE report. So again, there's an element of chicken and egg where we would have supported some of these schemes. Then this funding came along, so we transferred it over to Nestrans to be subsumed into that. That's now disappeared. So in some cases, or has been reduced. So in some cases, we're having to look at, almost the original model we had to support some of these schemes. And look, fundamentally, that's what that type of funding like BLE should be used for. So that's what we're looking to do this year.
Thank you very much. And that does clarify things, although there isn't a date in the report for the Aberdeenshire decision, but I'm sure that'll flow through as committees meet. On the monitoring of everything, we were due to get an event in Huntly, and then there was going to be one in Pittodrie. So I was pleased to hear from Caroline that there is funding available to come together and to hear from the coalface, so to speak, from the groups themselves, because I think that was a very successful way of monitoring and was good for the evaluation of the projects as well. So I was maybe to ask Caroline or Paul if there's anything being penciled in for later on in the year for members of the board to attend an event like that.
Yep, Caroline. Or
Yeah, I'll take that one, Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you.
And just say yes, absolutely, it's entirely our intention to reconvene with the delivery partners, and just to celebrate the success that we have had. We other RTPs, including ourselves, have had those very successful. It's always good to see where things are going, to hear the presentations, and actually to meet the people delivering it on at the coalface and some of their stuff. So yes, absolutely, the intention to do that going forward.
And in particular, it was reported in most of the reports that come back, both in November and in February of this year, November last year, that delivery partners are most concerned about the 1 year grant funding because they tend to lose the skilled and enthusiastic people who take part in delivering these projects. And I just wanted to get a handle on whether that is still the case, or what is the mood, I suppose, of our delivery partners to do this. We can't do this without them, and I'd be interested to hear, albeit secondhand, what they're thinking, because this will have no doubt had repercussions for their organisations too.
So certainly, single-year funding is a constraint that's imposed across many sectors, subject to Scottish Government Transport Scotland funding, and it's part of the landscape, and we have to work with it. I think all delivery partners and us as a client would prefer a longer-term, sort of 3-year deal to help our plan and have that longevity as well, and to reduce the uncertainty, but also this year-on-year jamboree of approvals, grant offer letters and stuff like that. I know that the officials at Transport Scotland also feel similarly as of that, and I understand that discussions are in place, but there is a new government, there is a process to go through, and I guess we have to work with what we have in front of us whilst maintaining those conversations in the background. But it is a shared concern across the whole sector, and it is part of where we are at that point. But it's a point well made, Councillor MacDonald. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Isabel.
Yeah, thanks very much. Sorry, I hadn't picked up on what Sandra was delving into there, but it's really interesting. But so in 4.2, all these projects, are they going to be affected? I mean, presumably with the change in funding, they can't all go along the same as they have been in the past. So are they having to, pull back to an extent, or what is the impact? It's not very clear what the impact is on these various projects, because we clearly, the council clearly can't step in to any great extent. We're struggling already, so.
Say that. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Davison. We have managed to maintain a level of parity on the key projects that we have funded. And that's been our ambition, maintain what we've had. We have not taken on, when we were looking at this, the programme from last year, we were hopeful of having an uplift, bringing more people on. We haven't been able to do that. So what we have been able to do is to maintain that sort of parity across our delivery ambitions through capitalising revenue costs, working with the delivery partners, working with the councils to come up with that solution. So we did have ambitions. We were going to bring more people on. We haven't been able to do that, which is a pity, but we have been able to secure the core of our programme from last year to carry on going forward. So I think that's a tremendous effort on behalf of the officers and the delivery partners to help us with that. I guess what we have to do now is then to identify through the conversations with the delivery partners, and we weren't able to put that in this report just because of the focus on getting the funding through to yourselves and get those approved, is actually to provide that narrative that Councillor MacDonald was also talking about, and as Transport Scotland have also asked for, in terms of what has been the impact of this short-term announced change onto the delivery partners. I'm confident that we've been able to secure, say, the core partners, and we've managed to continue that ongoing as per last year. Again, there have been opportunities we've had to pass over just because of the constrained funding. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any more hands up. Beyond my comment of thanking, actually, Miranda, I'll bring you in just now then.
Sorry, I was struggling to find my hand function then. It's been a while since I've been on a Teams meeting. So I guess just building on what Sandra and Isabel have sort of been exploring there, we obviously have a new Scottish Government Minister being put into place at some point. Is it worth, as Nestrans and maybe by yourself, Chair, crafting a letter just around the 3-year funding to add support to the discussions which are already happening behind the scenes, but just around how we can make this a more sustainable programme? It is so beneficial to our region. So I guess, is that something that Board would be happy to support?
I certainly would be, Miranda. I think that would be sensible.
Yep. Alan?
Yeah, I get it, but I also remember what we said at the last board meeting. We were going to take information back, and officers were already actually discussing the fact of reduction of 60%. I'm still, how would you put it? I'm not content with the fact we've had such a big cut here, and honestly, Sandra, I'd like us, our focus, to be pushing back to actually try and get more funding as well. Happy with trying to get it sustainable over 3 years, but it's a case we've got to do it in harmony with what the officers themselves are doing as well, eh?
Paul, what's your view?
Okay, two things: 60% reduction, and then we've got push for 3 years combined with new government. We discussed this at RTP Leeds. The key thing, first of all, was let's get the new government in and have that initial conversation with the minister about, find out who the minister is, whether they're actually interested in this or not, whether they've got the enthusiasm for it. And so that is point one. Point two, I think we should follow up on the impact that this has had on us as delivery partners as well. And I think that the 3 year, and I think that's so get to know who it is and get their feelings. Secondly, explain the impact of the 60%. I think that's really important that we do that in a timely manner. And I think that the third item around the 3 year funding, I think that follows in towards after the summer and when we've got a bit more clarity about what the landscape looks like. I think both aspects are important, but I think we can't miss. We need to have that clarity on not necessarily conflating the two, being aware of both of what's happened. And again, that sort of tactic is being discussed with the RTP leads and the RTP chairs at the moment as well.
So Miranda, would you be happy if we were to hold off writing until we get we understand who the minister is, or do you want to write now and just make the point about the 6% reduction?
Yeah, I feel like we're missing an opportunity if we don't write now or when the minister is announced. Just given that they are now in post, they will get to know who the Nestrans are. And also, you know, it's an opportunity for us to make what is quite an important point to them right from the get-go, rather than waiting till, you know, sort of 6 months' time, when they're already being lobbied by every other RTP, because we all know they will be doing it.
Ian, do you want to add your thoughts?
My tuppence worth. I'm not sure it goes much further than that, but I would have thought the time to write is, you know, when the minister is appointed and announced. You know, there is, you know, strike while the iron's hot, or at least the iron is still fresh in the job, and you know, it can always follow it up again. But we're not going to get any prizes for waiting.
David?
Sorry, Chair, conscious it's not my place to come in and debate, but I suppose I just wanted to ask the question so that everybody could hear it. Paul, do you think there'd be an appetite amongst all of the regional partnerships to write as a collective group, not necessarily about the individual funding, but the 3-year nature of the funding? At least I accept that that we'll all be sort of arguing amongst ourselves to get the biggest share we can, but I think the 3-year funding is something that I hear across every sector of local government funding, and I just think that should be something that all the RTPs could agree. It might be, you know, more successful in moving the needle, at least on that element of it, if all of the RTPs came together, but I don't know if there would be an appetite.
There is definitely an appetite for addressing this, what is, you know, the additional effort of year on year effort of going through this jamboree, this circus that we find ourselves in every year, as well as coming up with a sustainable model for this initiative, and also other initiatives such as Bus Infrastructure Fund and some of the infrastructure funding that we have to go through for cycling infrastructure as well. It is not that the problem isn't necessarily constrained to this. It has been highlighted specifically because of the short native cut that we've had this year as well. And I can't speak for all the others, but yes, there is an appetite amongst RTP chairs to address that particular aspect, as well as ensuring that we have sustainable long-term certainty around our programs. And so, yes, there would be an appetite to collectively write together, although I can't say when they would want to write. We might need to convene. So if there's if the board wants something sooner, then that's something that we can draft, combining the impact of the 60% cut and also the long-term solution, which could be that this 3-year proposal going forward.
So in terms of just everything that's kind of being said, I think in terms of the 3-year funding, I think that's something that possibly best done at RTP chairs. But are we happy to give? Can I ask permission for myself and Paul to write? And if the RTP chairs are not going to do that as a national body, and I'm quite happy for that to be sent relatively shortly after the new minister is announced. I'm seeing nods. Is any do we have any hands for disagree? Alan?
I've kind of, how would you put it? I've listened to what Miranda said right at the start, got me thinking. And I've also listened to what everybody else said. I actually would do both. What I would do is I would suggest putting across, here is what the effect of that 60% cut is having to what is Nestrans and the programme, okay? Here is the fact you told us that late on we've had to adapt our programme this year and finish it up by really saying, you know, what we'd really like is a commitment to what is 3-year funding. Put it later on in the same letter and obviously open the whole lot to debate. And because of, you know, just the timeliness of it, I'm with Ian completely what Ian's saying. I would do that without actually waiting for an RTP chairs or lead officers to agree, and just inform them, sort of thing. Because I mean, you know, 60% is huge.
Yeah. We could. Actually, I'll take in Miranda since it was our suggestion first.
Sorry, just to back up what Alan's saying, I would be more comfortable if we did that sort of 3-pronged letter, and then anything that the RTP chairs will say will always back up what we're saying anyway, and it just makes the point again to the minister. I mean, I don't know the other RTP chairs, if I'm honest, but they will all be doing the same thing, and I don't want Nestrans to be left behind. With a new minister in post, it would be very helpful to get our position across as soon as possible. Isn't it? That's just my perspective, though.
No, I'm happy. In that case, we're happy to delegate the. I'm guessing to Paul in consultation with myself, albeit I'll be signing it too. We're happy to delegate that power. In addition to the recommendations, do you have any objections to? Yeah. So just before we quickly agree the recommendation, can I just add my thanks to all the officers who've dealt with the very challenging circumstances here, as well as our delivery partners for the work they've done in consultation with us, for what they've delivered, and also the understanding with a very difficult situation. And with that, with the additional of what we'd added on, are we happy to agree the recommendations for this paper?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We only had the one item, so on that point, I will leave you to your mornings. Thank you very much.